Good afternoon, and thank you all for joining us today. Welcome to the Savings Bank live webinar on small business recovery and growth resources. My name is Karen Benedetti, Vice President of Marketing at the bank, and I will help facilitate the webinar today. A bit of housekeeping. All microphones are muted during this webinar. Please type any questions into the question and answer box at any time as we go through the webinar. Please look for the icon with the question mark. We will stop at several points today to answer questions you have submitted up to that point. A video recording of today's webinar will be available tomorrow on the homepage of our website at www.tsbawake24.com, and we will email out the recording link to all participants today, along with the presentation, so you will have a listing of all the resources you will hear about today. So now let's get started. Our presenters today are Pete Johnston, Senior Vice President and Senior Commercial Banking Officer at the Savings Bank, and guest presenter Maria Nigro Di Stefano, Northeast Regional Director from the Massachusetts Office of Business Development. Pete joined the bank as a commercial lender in 2009 and has been the Senior Commercial Banking Officer for 7 years. He has spent over 30 years in banking in the North Shore and Merrimack Valley. Pete is well-versed in commercial banking, credit analysis, and lending, and leads the bank team for small business, commercial real estate, and construction loans, resulting in many tangible improvements to our customers and the communities the bank serves. Pete will now introduce Maria.
Thank you, Karen. Hi, everyone. Born and raised in East Boston, Maria Nigro Di Stefano learned the English language at the age of 5. After college, she opened up her own children's consignment shop in Massachusetts. She developed extensive experience assisting immigrant-owned and women-owned Main Street businesses, and she was proud to be able to employ 8 working moms in her shop. In 2001, Maria was named Executive Director of East Boston Main Streets. During her time there, she spearheaded and led quarterly business networking breakfasts, regularly attended by over 100 local business leaders and elected officials. After 5 years as Executive Director, she was hired by former Boston Mayor Thomas Menino to be the Neighborhood Business Manager of the Boston Main Streets program, which has 20 districts throughout the city. In June 2015, Maria began her appointment as the Northeast Regional Director of the Massachusetts Office of Business Development for the Polito Administration. The Massachusetts Office of Business Development, or MOBD, is the state's one-stop source for businesses seeking to relocate to Massachusetts and businesses wishing to expand their current operations here. MOBD offers a range of expertise and services to help businesses grow and thrive in Massachusetts. Maria?
Thank you, Pete, and the entire team at the Savings Bank. I really appreciate your being such a strong partner in our efforts to bring resources to your existing and future clients. And a big thank you to all the businesses that are on the webinar today. Thank you for taking your time out of your day. Great. Thank you. So let me give you sort of let me take a minute to tell you about MOBD. So the Massachusetts Office of Business Development is the Baker Administration's executive branch economic development agency. What we do is we help businesses that are relocating to Massachusetts and also businesses that want to expand their current operations here. So I'm one of 6 regional directors that are serving the 351 cities and towns across the state. And we report to Secretary Keneally. So some of the things that we, as you can see from this slide, our team works closely with the public and private sectors to coordinate a whole range of resources to help you with business growth. So in in addition to administering the state's tax incentive program, MOBD also serves as your single point of contact for other state agencies and quasi-governmental partners. So what does that mean for your business? So basically, if there's a program out there that may be applicable to your business, and even though it's not a program that our team administers, we can certainly make an introduction for you to someone who can assist you. And it would be an immediate and a direct introduction so that you would get help immediately from other programs. Next slide, please. Through our Economic Development Incentive Program, or EDIP, we seek to create new jobs and help businesses grow. We encourage this growth by offering credits to lower taxes in exchange for job creation. So if you're planning to make a large private investment and creating additional full-time jobs, you might be eligible for our program. Tax increment financing, which we say TIF for short, is part of the EDIP process, and it's a negotiated agreement between the business and the host municipality. When a company makes an investment, their investment will sometimes create a delta in between what the property is originally assessed at prior to the investment and what the new assessment will be post investment. What the new assessment will be. So we call that the incremental increase of assessed value. The company might be able to negotiate a percentage of exempt taxes, and the agreement may also include exemptions on personal property tax. TIFs have a 5-year minimum and a 20-year maximum, or anything in between, and the percentage of exemption is a minimum of 5% for 5 years. Next slide, please.
Let me just ask if there are any questions, or remind people to put questions in the box in the Q&A. We don't have any questions now, but Maria would be happy to answer them now or later on in the presentation. So because there are none now, and we're getting into some of the media information, we'll make sure we allow enough time at the end for questions. So we'll go to the next slide now.
Thank you, Karen. So earlier, a few slides ago, I talked about how MOBD can be your single point of contact for other state resources for business growth. Let me touch on a few of the other programs that are available through the Commonwealth. So the first one up here listed is the Mass Hire Career Centers. So Mass Hire leverages flexibility, expertise, and knowledge to partner with businesses to meet their hiring and industry needs. So similar to MOBD, Mass Hire also operates in regions across the state. So wherever you are located, we can get you in touch with that particular Mass Hire. They work with both job seekers and businesses. So if you're having trouble hiring, we can connect you to the Mass Hire Center Director that covers your region. The next one is that I want to talk about today was the WorkShare program. What WorkShare does is it allows workers in an entire company, a company department, or even a small unit within the company to share reduced work hours while also collecting unemployment insurance benefits to supplement their reduced wages. If this is something that you're interested in, we can certainly make that connection. On-the-job training, that provides companies an opportunity to hire new employees for a training period, which is usually up to 6 months, and during which the program will subsidize up to 50% of the employee's wages in a reimbursement. And you can see that you can find that information also on the mass.gov website, but again, we can certainly connect you to someone over there. Work Opportunity Tax Credits, or WOTC, are federal tax credits available to employers for hiring individuals from certain targeted groups who've consistently faced significant barriers to employment. Again, we can get you through the Mass Hires. There is someone that works primarily on WOTC, and we can get you introduced to that gentleman. Next slide, please. So I want to talk a little bit about some training opportunities that we have. So before I talk about the training, something that I've heard quite a bit of, and I'm sure Pete, you've heard that as well as you're talking to companies, is the challenge with hiring right now. There's just companies are telling me there's just not enough people to fill positions. And one thing that through labor and workforce development, one thing that we're finding is that if you are training your employees, they're gonna, someone that you're investing training time and resources and energy with is going to be less likely to leave you for someone else, for the same, apple with apple, right? If you're the one that's doing the training of these employees, they're more likely to stay. So one of those opportunities is our Workforce Training Fund program, which is WTFP through the Commonwealth Corporation. So the Commonwealth Corporation is a quasi-governmental agency that we work closely with. And they offer 3 types of training opportunities with up to $250,000 in matching grants. These grants are administered on a rolling basis, right? So you don't have to wait for a certain time of the year to be interested or to try to give your employees the training. And for every small and micro business for very small and micro businesses with few employees, you can come together and write for a consortium grant. If you're interested in learning more, I can connect you with the Commonwealth Corporation's outreach director, and she is fantastic and super responsive. And when I talked about, I know I said up to $250,000 in matching grants, that can be your payroll. So as you're paying your employees to take, it could be anything from English as a second language, it could be customer service classes, it could be management training classes. There's literally thousands of classes that are available. And if there's classes that your employees need that you can't find, the outreach coordinator will work with you and work with the local community colleges to actually, 1, help you write the grant, and 2, actually help you build a curriculum so that your employees will get the exact training that they need. The other training I wanted to talk about was the safety training grant, and it's through the Division of Industrial Accidents, and that is up to $25,000 in a grant. That is separate from the one I just talked about. It's separate from the $250,000. This grant promotes safety and healthy conditions in the workplace by awarding the state funds to eligible applicants who submit responses designed to provide and improve safety education and training in occupational safety and health to employers and employees with the Commonwealth covered by Massachusetts workers' compensation law. And so at the RFP, I heard through the grapevine that the RFP for this grant cycle will be coming out this month. So if you want to be put on their mailing list, let us know. We'll get you on their mailing list and you'll hear from them. You're not going to get bombarded with emails. You'll just hear from them when the RFP comes out, and they'll tell you exactly what you need to submit to receive this grant. And the last item on the slide is a free safety consultation through the Division of Labor Standards. So on your invitation, folks can come out. These are folks from the state, not folks from OSHA. They will come out and conduct an audit, a safety audit, and then discuss the findings with you to help you work on anything now prior to, if you ever were to have a safety audit, if you ever were to have an OSHA audit, you would already have had the state safety audit and already be working on this. Next slide, please. Thank
Maria,
you.
The workforce training grants that you mentioned before are something that I'm almost sure, I may be wrong, but I'm almost sure that the savings bank has actually taken advantage of. So it's businesses as small as a mom and pop Main Street business and as large as a bank. We're not a big bank, but we are a bank and we have assets. And I totally agree with what you said about the hiring process. It's really, really hard to find good people right now. And sometimes they're not prepared to do the job, but you know that they come to you with a really good attitude and a good work ethic. And we all can work with people like that and bring them along. And so this is a great tool to be able to use that the state makes available for our employees.
Pete, you're absolutely right. There's certain things that you can absolutely teach a person, and there's things that just they're born with. So if you can find someone that is really willing to work and willing to show up and really put in their all, but needs just a little bit of something, the state can help you with that, with a little bit of training. Absolutely. And I also want to get your input. I'm going to talk about the next couple things on the slide, but I really want to hear from you, Pete, in terms of as a lender, how important some of these things are. So let's talk a little bit about the MSBDC. So the MSBDC, which is the Massachusetts Small Business Development Center, they both the SBA and MOBD fund them. They so their services are free because your taxpayer dollars are already paying for these services, and they provide confidential one-on-one business advice that focuses on marketing plans, business plans, just general business counseling. They can help you with financial plans, and sometimes
projections.
folks are busy.
Projections.
I'm sorry. What's
projections.
That? Projections. Thank you. And you may have Pete, do you want to talk about, like, even if someone has a relationship with a certain bank, how important just getting your financials together? Do you mind?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Maria. Well, so many times we will get requests from the general public, sometimes our customers, sometimes not our customers, sometimes another bank's customers, where they're thinking about either starting a business or they already own a business and they're going in a different direction and want to kind of dimensionalize their business and diversify it, and they just don't know what to do next. We as bankers and lenders could spend our entire days consulting these folks, but it's probably not exactly what the bank wants us to do with every minute of our time. And so having a resource like the Small Business Development Center, as well as SCORE, and the other ones that are on this page, is an important kind of quiver in our arrow in our quiver. We refer people to the SBDC all the time. The nearest one to here in Wakefield is at Salem State. They tend to be connected with state universities throughout the country. We have contacts at the SBDC and SCORE. We're able to arrange meetings through typically the local chambers of commerce. And what SBDC and SCORE and the Center for Women in Enterprise and the Veterans Business Outreach Center, what all of these entities are able to do is to kind of get somebody ready for prime time. Because we're regulated the way we are, we have to get certain things to underwrite a loan request, and we can't write it ourselves. It has to come from the customer. And this will help these entities, these organizations will actually help you for free to put together the things you need to put together for a bank to be able to take your application and do something with it. They work closely with the Small Business Administration. A lot of startup businesses, businesses that are diversifying, find that the best way to do it is with an SBA loan. There's some particulars that you just wouldn't know, even us, that we wouldn't know as bankers unless the SBDC or SCORE or one of these other organizations takes a look at it. So they're a great resource for us. We refer people to them all the time. And I can't tell you just how valuable that is for us as a resource, but also for our customers.
Absolutely. So it sounds like it's something that is very much welcome in your field, right? To have.
Absolutely. Yeah, we like resources, and we particularly like free resources. So, people often ask when they hear about the SBC or SCORE, one of the other entities on this page, what's this going to cost me? I mean, I don't have a lot of money to put towards this. And they can go to their accountant and get projections, but accountants do great work, but they need to get paid for their work. The SBDC, SCORE, and the other organizations are all getting paid. They're just not getting paid directly by our business customers. We're paying for them with our tax dollars. So it's a great thing that comes back to us because of the taxes that we're paying.
And I can imagine that it's interesting that you said that, because I can imagine that those costs add up. And even if it's just, a few $1,000s here or there, it's less money that both the business and the bank have to make up.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we want to see that someone has kind of, many times the requests we get for people are, are starting up businesses that maybe have been in a field, but they've never owned a business. And, it's one thing to make widgets. It's another thing to manage the process of making widgets and to understand the financial impact of managing receivables, managing payables, making loan payments, keeping the place safe and keeping the lights on and managing employees. And what the SBDC and SCORE and the other organizations do is they ask questions that when they ask the question, you're like, oh man, I should have thought of that. But because they're coming at it from the outside and because they have a lot of expertise, they can ask those questions and it'll really help someone to think of everything. Right. So yeah, very valuable resources for sure.
And they absolutely, any one of these businesses, or I'm sorry, any one of these technical assistance providers will very much stoke that entrepreneurial spirit that you have within you. They will just ask questions to make sure you're doing it the right way and that you've thought through all the questions. Thanks, Pete. I really appreciated that perspective.
Of course, and it's great for us too, Maria, because when we do get something back from a borrower, a prospective borrower who has gone to one of the technical assistance providers, it's generally in good shape, and it's ready for us to be able to do something with it, as opposed to a box full of receipts or an idea that has yet to be really vetted properly.
Thank you. The last one I wanted to mention that's on the slide is smallbestrong.com. And we heard a lot. This was sort of in response to the beginnings of the shutdown. Folks needed, whether it was legal services or just organization, business growth, information about digital marketing, right? So many people had to pivot. So many of our brick and mortar type businesses had to now start to figure out, how do I do this online? And so Small Be Strong, it is still available. There's some, the services there are free, and there are people that are donating their time to work on with companies pro bono. And these are just a few of the agencies that we can connect you to. Really, it's the tip of the iceberg. I mean, there are literally, there's tens of there's 20 more agencies that do things that are for small and medium and large size businesses. Next slide, please. So a lot of the things that the offerings and the services that Pete and I talked about are terrific, and we can make you referrals today. We can help you schedule appointments with the providers. That is all going to take a little bit of time. What I wanted also to offer you today, and what I wanted to close with my slide, my presentation with, was things that you can actually do today. As soon as you get off this webinar, you can go onto your laptop or your whatever you're using, whatever device you're using, and you can do something for your business this minute. So one of MOBD's sister agencies is MOT, and that's the Massachusetts Office of Travel and Tourism. And with their focus on shopping locally with the hashtag #MyLocalMA movement, they've come up with the following resources. One is, have you shared your story? And I will say these are the most recent resources that they have, because before this presentation, I connected with the executive director of MOT, Keiko Oral, who is fantastic, one of my colleagues, and she was very excited that we were presenting this today. So have you shared your story? So businesses you can submit your story to that link. And I believe this is going to be available. We said this was going to be recorded, right, and put, and so this will be available, and you can submit your story for a chance to be featured on our social media campaign and in our e-newsletter. The Made in Massachusetts one is if you have a product that or a company that's made in Massachusetts. If so, you can send the details to Mott and they will promote it in their marketing materials to residents and visitors alike. You can send your submissions to Phyllis Cahaley, and her email address is there. The other one is call for photography. So as you can imagine, the Mass Office of Travel and Tourism, they're always on the lookout for year-round photography. And right now they're especially focused on pictures that are featuring safety protocols, such as masked employees and customers and social distancing. So you can go right into your shop or into your office, snap a few pictures of everyone being, having their masks on. You can take pictures of your customers and you can submit them to Phyllis. And then the last one on the slide is Visit MA. So businesses that are, if there are any businesses on the call, or if you have friends or know other businesses associated with travel and tourism, such as restaurants, shops, attractions, they can be featured on Visit MA with a free account. And the directions are on there. You just scroll to the bottom of the page and you click on want to be featured here. And it's easy to create your own account, and you can update and manage your own information. Next slide, please. So I know I went over quite a bit and I did it really quickly. So I wanted to be sure that you had my contact information. When we are in our offices, right now we're still at home, but when we are in our offices, I have an office at Salem State at the Enterprise Center on the Salem State campus. And I also have a space in co-shared space in Gloucester. But for now, you can certainly email me. You can reach me via LinkedIn, via Twitter. In fact, for any businesses that are on the call today, if you want to connect with me, I'd love to connect with you via LinkedIn. And if you want to tweet at me, I am happy to tweet back at you and try to get my followers to follow your business as well.
Thank you. I'm going to bring up Maria again, any closing words, and then Pete, and then we'll do our final closeout. So let me do that. There's Maria again. Thank you very much, Maria. Do you want to say anything in closing?
I do. I just want to I want to thank all businesses that took the time out today to join us. I also want to thank Pete and Karen and Sue and the whole team really at the Savings Bank. I want to say what a strong partner they are of ours. We have done, pre-COVID, they have hosted in-person business clinics for us, where anyone that was, whether they were a bank client or not, could come in and get free business assistance between myself and the chamber and other partners that I would bring along. And you've always been such an enthusiastic supporter. So I just want to thank you for that. And I want to thank you for allowing me the opportunity to talk about MOBD and some of our state resources.
And now we'll bring up Pete.
Maria, this has been great. I want to thank the team that helped put it together as well. The most important thing that I could do in this presentation today was to introduce you and to get out of the way. You are an unbelievable resource. You've done a great job of connecting people. As great as the Savings Bank has been in connecting businesses to other businesses and to resources, we know that we have a strong supporter of us and of Massachusetts businesses in you. I would like to thank all of the attendees as well. It's kind of like being the captain of an airplane. You have many resources and many things you could be doing. We're glad you chose to spend a half an hour with us. We hope that this has been helpful for you. We want to be an ongoing resource for you. I have found in my couple of years of knowing Maria that you know, whenever I present her with an issue, a question, a challenge, I haven't stumped her yet in terms of either having an answer to provide herself or having a resource that she can point you to take next steps on. So we would like to be that resource for you as well at the Savings Bank. So we'd encourage you to leverage your relationship with us, ask us lots of questions, and let's learn and grow together. So with that, I just want to thank everybody for participating today.
Okay, thank you, Pete. Let me just bring up our contact information again. So thank you again. Thank you, Maria and Pete, for taking us through this very important and very timely topic. And we've hoped that those who are been participating and watching today learned more about resources that are available to you. There are so many. The ones that on travel and tourism are pretty amazing to really market your own business. So a video recording of today's webinar will be available tomorrow on the homepage of the website at the bank. And that's at www.tsbawake24.com. And we will email the recording link out to all the participants today, as well as the presentation. So you will have all those resources right in front of you. Please be sure to invite your business colleagues to the second date of this webinar on Tuesday, May 18th at 5 p.m. And you are more than welcome to join us again. Anyone wanting to join can simply email us at marketing. So it's marketing@tsbawake24.com. Thank you again for joining us today. Have a wonderful afternoon. It's a beautiful day out. We hope you get outside a little bit. Goodbye, everyone.